Gym owners, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how you can stop self-sabotaging yourself and how you can actually come at this from a different point of view and turn this from a self-sabotaging situation to a self-improving situation. If you don't know who I am, my name's Sam Arch and I've helped scale over 80 gyms in 2023 alone. And what we help gym owners do is reduce the hours they work while doubling or even tripling their current revenue. Okay, so without further ado, let's just get straight into this. All right, guys, so I have a few notes here on my notepad, and yeah, I'm just gonna run you guys through them and pretty much teach you guys how to stop self-sabotaging when you're running campaigns. Okay, so the biggest problem we see when people run campaigns by themselves or when someone else is running their campaigns is that they are too emotionally invested into it. And I understand why, right? You're spending money, you're trying to run campaigns to get results. Of course, you're going to be emotionally invested into it. However, this is the complete wrong way of looking at things. Okay, every time you put out a new stimuli to an audience, to a market, stimuli being like, if I show you like a poster, that is stimuli. Like an ad is stimuli. Like an email is stimuli. Okay, this is all stimuli because it stimulize the brain. Okay, stimulus. Every time you put this out into a market, it's going to evoke a reaction. Okay, and this is more like a science experiment than it is you just putting something out and it's going to work. Nothing just works. Okay, there is reasons behind it. So for this alone, you have to think of it as a science experiment. As soon as you start thinking of it as a science experiment, that is when you're actually going to start to receive results. Okay, and now let's just go back to the basics. All right, I can remember when I was in school and I used to do science and we did experiments. What did we have in these experiments? First of all, we had controlled variables. Second of all, we only changed one thing at a time. Third of all, we always measured the results on every experiment. And fourth, you always write a procedure, okay, on how you came to that conclusion. Okay, so let's say your hypothesis for this experiment is that if you run a Facebook ad campaign, you're gonna get insane results and signed up members. Okay, cool. Actually, let's change that. If you're running if I run the right Facebook campaign, I will get new members signed up. Okay, that's your hypothesis. Now, let's go deep into this. So, the Facebook ad campaign, what does this consist of? Okay, it consists of a lot of things. First of all, it consists of where you're taking this traffic to, for example, a lead form, website conversions, Facebook messages, where you're bringing these leads to. Second of all, it consists of a budget. Third of all, it consists of an audience. And then we have obviously the creative, the copy, the headline, the description, and the lead form or your conversion form or wherever you're taking these people. Okay, so for science experiments, like I said before, we need to keep everything the same and only change one thing at a time. Okay, so let's say I lost my pen. Oh well. Let's say you have your ad angle, which is copy, creative, headline, and description. Okay, you think, yep, this is gonna work. Okay, now you go to launch the campaign, you're spending $20. This must stay the same on all the campaigns you launch, or it's not a fair test. Okay, you launch the campaign the exact same way, and you must launch it to the exact same market. If you guys are changing the creative, or if you're changing the copy, everything else, the market, the people you're targeting, that all needs to stay the same. Okay, and the reason for this is that if you launch one campaign, okay, it does okay. It does. So I got an itchy forehead today, guys. Okay, let's say you launch one campaign, it does all right. Cool. Then you launch a different campaign. Let's say on this next campaign, you change the audience and you changed the creative. Now, when you're looking at the results, you don't know what made that campaign better. Was it the creative that made the campaign better, or was it the audience that made the campaign better? Okay, and now you're backtracking and your steps behind, where if you just did it properly and didn't rush ahead, you would be ahead, okay? Because you would have understood the data. You would have understood what improved the campaign, and therefore you can keep improving on that. Okay, so let's say you run campaign 1. Campaign 1 is version 1, copy 1. You know what, guys? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to hop on Miro really quick. I'm just going to hop on Miro and I'm going to walk you through this. easier than me trying to articulate it on a video. Okay, so just bear with me. Let's get a new video. Okay, cool guys. So we're on Miro right now, and let's say thickness. Okay, cool. Let's say we have version 1, which is the creative. Okay, then we have copy 1, which is the copy. Headline 1. Okay. Actually, you know what? I did this wrong. Alright, take that back. So, version 1. What does this consist of? This consists of creative version 1, copy version 1, okay, headline version 1, description version 1, and audience version 1. Okay, there's a bunch more like where you're targeting and stuff, but we'll just make sure you keep that the same. Okay, these are the main things you want to change, and these are the main things that will influence your campaign. Okay, let's say you launch this campaign and you're getting leads for, let's say, $10, but you're not happy with that. You want to get better leads. Personally, if I was getting leads for $10, I would say that's within KPI and I wouldn't launch. But just for example purposes, let's say you want to get better. Okay, you're getting leads for $10, but you want leads for $5. So let's go to version 2. Okay, now like I just said before, if you change too much, it's going to be way too hard for you to track what actually improved the campaign. Okay, and therefore it's not a real experiment. So you need to come at this like a scientist would. Okay, a fair experiment is going to get you real results. So let's say, okay, you're looking at the data and it's implementing I've made a whole video on the data and looking at this to change what you need to change. But let's say you're looking at the data and it's implementing that the audience isn't really liking what you're putting out. Okay, let's say the CPMs are too high. Now you have two options. You can either change the audience or change the creative. So let's say you change the audience. Sorry guys. So you keep everything else the same, except you change the audience. So now you got audience 2. So everything else is the same except you change the audience. Okay. Now the hypothesis is that version 2 will give you better results than version 1. And let's say this is giving you leads for $15. So that's worse than the first campaign. Okay, cool. So it wasn't the audience then, guys. It must have not been the audience. So now what you do is you do a version 3. Okay, you're still striving for that $5 lead mark. So we're going to do a version 3. So what we're going to do now is we're going to revert the audience back to the original audience 1. And instead, we're going to change the creative. Okay, so we're going to do creative 2. Okay, creative version 2. Now we're going to look at the results. And let's say this one here gets you $8 cost per leads. If you're getting cost per leads at $8, do not change anything, by the way, guys. This is just for an example to make it easy with the numbers. But if your cost per leads are around $8, that is fine. It really matters on the cost per conversion and the cost per acquisition, but that's different metrics, and that is not for this example Facebook ads. Okay. However, the principle of using the science experiment remains the same always. Okay. So let's say you want to go and you want to change another thing. I think you get what I'm trying to say here, but you basically will do CR creative. You want to try and improve this campaign. You do that. Let's say you think it's the headline that you need to change, so then you'll do headline 2, and this is your version 4, and then D1, description 1, and audience 1, and then this gets you your $5 campaigns. Okay, so you know that this creative and this headline will get you your campaign if everything else remains the same. Okay, and that's how to kind of look at it like a scientist. Now, it is very important to remember this, guys. Campaigns have bad days, okay? Even a campaign that has like big campaigns, massive $1 million companies, McDonald's campaigns have bad days. People that spend $10,000 a day on an ad, they will have days that are bad. They'll even have 2 days that are bad, okay? So again, it is important to make sure you're measuring your data over a good enough time period, okay? So when you're looking at the data to see, okay, are these metrics good? Some days it's gonna be $10, some days it might be a $2 cost per lead. But to look at the data, first of all, you wanna look at a 1 day time frame. What was it like yesterday? Second of all, 2 day time frame. What was it like the day before yesterday and yesterday? What's the average cost per lead? Next, you wanna look at the 4 day time frame. In the last 4 days, what's the average metric? Okay, all the averages. If that is within KPI, then you're cool. But then you want to look at the 7 day time frame, and then check what the average is from that. And this is how you're going to be able to tell if these results are starting to creep and if it's starting fatigue. But you don't just want to look at yesterday. So yesterday I spent $40 and got 1 lead. I'm turning that ad set off. No, we want to look at the 4 days. If the 4 days is above KPI, then that's when we decide to turn it off, okay? Make sure you're looking at 4 days minimum. Let your campaigns run for 4 days. If you're getting bad results for 2 days, remember guys, all campaigns have a bad 2 days, okay? It is important to let them run for 4 days minimum. Every time you make a change, every time you update from version 1 to version 2 to version 3 to version 4, you must let it run for 4 days minimum. This is the minimum waiting time, okay? If you're doing a science experiment, you don't put one compound with another compound and give it half the time to see if you get the same reaction. That's not what we're changing here, guys, okay? Everything must remain the same, and therefore the time you wait to see the results must remain the same as well, okay? And yeah, stop overthinking it, guys. That's my last point of my notes. Stop overthinking this shit. Simplicity scales, complexity doesn't, okay? You would be surprised at the campaigns we run for our clients and how simple they are and how well they really work. All these other gurus and all these other marketing agencies, I've been telling you to run this stuff, and yeah, it looks all fancy and complex with all these words, but deep down, truly, they know it's not working and they're still trying to figure it out. And I'm telling you now, simplicity scales. So keep it simple, keep the changes simple. And that's why this science experiment kind of way of thinking about it is the way people run campaigns, and it's the way the whole advertising space works. Okay, once you understand this, guys, you're going to be able to find winning formulas and you're going to be able to scale massively from that. Okay, let me just check. Yeah, so that's basically all I got written down. I hope you guys got some value from this video. If you guys are curious on what we do and how we help our gym owners, there is a link in the description. You can click on it if you want. It doesn't really bother me if you do. Yeah, just know there is a link if you guys are curious. I will be honest, it's a sales funnel, but yeah, totally up to you if you click on it. Doesn't bother me at all. All that matters is that you got some value from this video. And yeah, guys, I hope you got some value. If you want to leave a like, I'd really appreciate that. If you want to drop a comment down below with a problem you're facing, I would love to be able to solve it for you. And if you want to subscribe, it would make my day and I'd love you for it as well. Until the next one, peace.